Well, hello, my sexy babies, and welcome back to Trin Told Me, where I'm your personal boy decoder, chaos and sewer, big sister, unlicensed therapist, you name it, I am probably it. So if you got the ick, got a crush, or need to get your ex back, tune in to Trin Told Me. Hi guys, and happy Monday. I am so glad that you are here and you are listening to another amazing episode of my podcast, Trin Told Me. If you are watching the video, I hope you like my outfit. It is a matching cheetah print tracksuit, and I love it with my whole entire heart. And I put it on, and my sister laughed at me and was like, "You're so silly." But anyways, besides the point, I just wanted to point out that there is a video to this podcast. So if you are just listening, you can hop on the video and watch that as well. I hope that you guys are having an amazing start of your week, and Monday is hard, but I hope that this podcast can make it a little bit better. If you've never listened to an episode of Trin Told Me, I am really glad you're here because we talk about all sorts of things. We talk about things that you can't talk about with your mom. We talk about things you shouldn't talk about with your mom. And we talk about things that you should probably make sure all the doors are closed and you have headphones in because it can get a little bit raunchy. But hey, we're real and we do not hold anything back on this podcast. And I think that is what brings us all so close and makes us all so open with each other. Before we start, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what I just did. I just did one of my last episodes of Call Me Cupid for this season on TikTok Live. If you guys are on TikTok and you want to watch a really fun dating show, I host a TikTok Live dating show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. PST. And this week was crazy. So I usually film that and then film these after. So if I'm a little bit tired, that is why, because it's a lot of energy to host a dating show. But I think in one day I can host a real dating show. And I think that would be really fun. I also want to just tell you guys about my week a little bit, if that's okay. I hate when people talk about themselves too long on podcasts, but hey, you clicked on this, okay? You clicked on this. I just want to tell you guys that I went to the doctors because I was fighting a mysterious throat virus, and apparently it's going around. It's like a new flu strand, and it was the worst thing ever. Like my throat just hurt so bad. I had chills, whatever. I go to the doctor, prescribes me medicine. But anyways, when I was also at the doctor, he told me that my thyroid is hella sluggish, and now I have to be on thyroid medication for the rest of my life until I die. And I'm 21. I just got nerfed with low, or it's called hypothyroidism. It's a real thing. Basically just means you're tired and cold all the time, which is true. I'm tired and cold all the time, hence this really fuzzy blanket I have. But I'm glad I got diagnosed. It makes me feel like, hey, maybe something isn't that wrong with me. Also, really exciting news, you guys. If you listen to my sister's music, her name's KJ on Spotify, I am going to be singing in one of her songs. And she invited me to sing because she is doing this new song, which is super awesome, but she can't hit one of the high notes. So she was like, "Can you sing on the track?" And I was like, "Can I sing on the track, girl? I can sing on the track." So now I get to sing on the track. And I feel hella blessed that she invited me to sing with her. So if you want to hear me sing, let's wait a few months. This song will be done in January. Okay, enough about me. If you clicked on this podcast, chances are you want to listen and learn about rejection / social anxiety and how to get over it. And I get it. Rejection is so freaking scary, especially when you're younger. I have been through so many situations where I didn't go out of my comfort zone because I didn't want to get rejected, or I didn't ask that guy for his number because I didn't want to get rejected, because that would hurt me. It would hurt my ego, which would hurt me. And I didn't want to feel that. It's like a punch in the gut when someone rejects you, and you just hate feeling that. But there's a reason behind it. So we're actually going to go into the psychology of rejection today. Along with that, we are going to go into how to stop being scared of rejection. And then I also want to talk about social anxiety and why people with social anxiety overthink everything. And then I'm going to talk about how to overcome social anxiety. And then I'm going to give you tips on how to be a good conversationalist. So when you are in a situation where you feel anxious, you don't have to be, because you can remember your conversational skills. I think this is really important because something I've learned in life is that you can suck at everything, but if you're good at talking to people, that's all you need. That's genuinely all you need. Like if you're really good at talking to people, you can pretty much make it so far. But the first step is getting over that social anxiety, which is so hard. And I get it because I struggle with it too. So if you feel like I won't ever get over it, you will. I was in a much worse place years ago than I am now. And I've used some tools that anybody can use. But first, as always, I am going to read a DM I got that inspired this week's podcast, okay? Before I get into it, I want to tell you that you can follow me on TikTok at Trinity.Blair. My Instagram is TriniXO. My Snapchat is Trini_YYYYYY. And my YouTube is The Trinity Theory. If you want to submit any questions for this podcast, the link will be in the description where you can fill out the form to submit any questions you have to be answered. That's all I have to say. Now let's get into this DM. Hi, you're probably not going to see this, but I know you could help me. So, I like this guy I saw at a competition and I'm so shy. Like, I didn't even request to follow him. Anyway, I'm way too shy to randomly start a convo. Mind you, he's in another country. And I don't know what to do to make him talk to me. Plus, help, I'm watching all your amazing videos, but I can't do so many of your tricks because I'm scared the boy rejects me or thinks I'm weird. Anyway, I hope everything I said makes sense. Love you, and I love your vid so much. Well, thank you, girl. I feel this on another level. I feel this. I remember when I was in middle school or maybe even high school, and I didn't want to even follow men on Instagram or anywhere because I was like, what if they don't follow me back? That's a punch in the gut. Like, that feels bad. That feels like rejection. I don't want to feel that. There were so many times where I never told the guy I liked him because I didn't want to get rejected. And that kept me safe. But I never got what I wanted. And it was kind of like a toss up. Do I play it safe and not get my feelings hurt, or do I kind of be a little bit uncomfortable for a second and risk feeling hurt to get what I want? I don't know. And I feel like at the end of the day, you can play it safe, but you will never really truly get what you want because you can only really get what your heart truly desires if you step out of your comfort zone and risk that rejection. But it is scary when you admit to somebody that you like them. You are putting yourself in such a vulnerable spot, and you're basically like showing them your heart and saying, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to punch it? Are you going to accept it? I'm opening up to you. And that first rejection hurts so bad. And low-key, like, that's the indicator if you'll ever put your heart out there again or not. Like, if someone punches your heart so hard the first time you ever put it out, you're probably not going to want to put it out again. So it makes sense that once you feel that rejection, that you don't want to feel it again. Rejection activates the same part of the brain as physical pain, and that's psychology. And that's actually freaking crazy. But I think that makes sense because I feel like a punch to your ego is like a punch to your face. I think it feels the same. Ego is a very physical thing as it is. It's a physical thing in terms of the human depths of the way we see ourselves. Ego is like the tip of the iceberg. So it is the most physical as it can get, but humans are wired for belonging. In history, we have grown up being in tribes. Our ancestors survived in groups. So being left out still innately in us feels dangerous. There is a game that I had to play at every single freaking camp I went to. Every time they said that we had to play this game, I wanted to die. I wanted to run away from camp, unenroll myself in camp, and yell at my parents for signing me up for such a stupid camp, all because of this one game, which I think there's a few different names for it, but I think the name they usually called it was Sardines. And it's a stupid game. I hate it so much. And it's like, it's a game you play at camp. If you've ever been to like a church camp or a school camp or any sort of camp, it's a game and they're like, everyone's just running around in the middle and they'll say, okay, group of 2, and you have to find a partner and get in a group of 2. And if you don't get in it, a group, you're out of the game. It's the worst game in the world. Or they'd be like group of 5 and you have to run and find a group of 5. And if you don't find a group, no one wants you in their group, you're kicked out. What kind of freaking game is that? If you're a camp counselor and you run a camp, I hope you don't play that game. I hope you tell your camp counselors we're not playing that game. That game is the stupidest game and it makes everybody feel like shit because it does. When you're that one person who doesn't get put in a group, that's the worst feeling ever. Genuinely. So if you're a camp counselor, just know I hate you. Just kidding. Just don't play that game. But bottom line, the feeling you get after being rejected isn't personal. It's innate. It's rooted in us. And everybody feels it. Even the people that play it off as it's whatever, they still feel that pain. They just alchemize it differently than you. And another reason rejection hurts so bad is because we take it personally and we think it measures our worth. If these people reject me, I'm not worth anything. If I'm playing a game at camp and I do not get in that group of 5 and I have to be eliminated, I'm not good enough to even play this game because I got eliminated. Well, guess what? Rejection doesn't measure your worth. Being picked doesn't measure your worth. Rejection is always a match issue, not a value issue. Maybe you didn't get in that group of 5 because you didn't vibe with that group of 5. Your group of 5 is somewhere else. It's like you aren't put on this earth to not vibe with anybody. There is a match for you out there. Okay, there are people that are gonna accept you and not reject you. And we'll get into this later. But rejection is truly redirection. A rose rejected by someone who likes tulips is still a rose. Just because they didn't like roses doesn't mean you're not any much of a valuable flower. And guess what? A lot of people like roses. A lot of people do. So just because one person rejects you doesn't mean your worth goes down the drain. You still have value as a person, even though that person couldn't see it. Okay? Just know that. It's hard. It's still hard. It's still hard when you put your heart on the line to your crush and you're like, do you like me? And they're like, no. And you're like, everything I've ever worked for is ruined because this one person doesn't like me. But there's still like 7 or 8 million people that could like you. Just because that one person doesn't like you doesn't mean you're any less of a person. But we fear rejection because it threatens our identity. And we think when, you confess to your crush and he doesn't choose you, that it means something about who you are. But it's usually just about who they are not. Okay? Just because someone doesn't like you doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just something about them that doesn't directly match up with you. And that has nothing to do with you. It is not something you are missing that they don't like. It's just something that they don't have that matches with you, if that makes sense. Like, you aren't getting with your crush because you're not supposed to be with your crush. If you confess that you like your crush and he's like, oh my God, I like you too, great pairing. If you confess to your crush and he's like, oh, I don't like you, that is because you're not supposed to be with your crush. Rejection is not a dead end. It's a divine redirection. And this phrase changed my life when I heard this. My friend said it to me, and she said it so nonchalantly. And this was the first time I ever heard the phrase rejection is redirection. And it altered my brain chemistry. I was like, you're telling me just because I got rejected, it doesn't mean that everything I worked for is down the drain. It just means I'm not supposed to have it? Yes, there is divine power in play here. You have a destiny. And sometimes you have to be straight off the path that isn't meant for you. And that comes with rejection. You got rejected from that job wasn't meant for you. You got rejected by that boy wasn't meant for you. There's something else out there for you. Rejection is redirection. That's it. That's literally it. Once you get that phrase engraved in your mind, life becomes so much easier because you don't put your value in the things that don't want you. You just understand that those are things that aren't meant for you, and that's okay. I could get rejected by a bajillion colleges or a bajillion people or a bajillion jobs, and I just be like, oh, that just wasn't meant for me. It has changed my life. So whenever you're in a situation, you're like, I might confess to my crush that I like him, and you're scared, just know if he rejects me, it's because we're not supposed to be together right now. And accept that. Now that we've gone into the psychology of rejection, I kind of want to talk about how to stop being scared of rejection. And I told you the phrase that will change your life, which is rejection is redirection. But I'm going to give you guys some other tips because sometimes that's not enough. First things first, rejection feels so personal. It's genuinely like, again, you took your heart out, you served it on a silver platter, and you're letting them decide if they want to punch it or if they want to take it and cradle it and love it. And it's really, really vulnerable. But you have to understand rejection is not personal. Depersonalize it. Not everyone is meant to understand or choose you. And that's actually good. Think about it like this. You are a rare frequency. Not every radio is going to be able to pick up your station. There are some people that just are not aligned with you. The universe can see that. Your vibes can see that. Your frequencies can feel that. You can't. You don't know. Okay? There's so much subconscious shit going on right now that you can't see, and you just have to trust. Depersonalize it. It is not like they looked at you and looked deep in you and said, I'm going to reject you because I really just hate you. It's not about that. They just don't vibe with you. Maybe they just have stuff going on in their life. It's about alignment. They don't hate you. They're just not aligned with you. That is what rejection is. That job doesn't hate you. It's not saying you're not good enough for us. It's saying you're not aligned with us. Once you think about it in terms like that, it really doesn't seem as personal and it becomes a lot easier. I also want you to think about it like this. Relabel rejection as information. Instead of they didn't like me, maybe think, okay, this wasn't my room. Let me find one where I can stand in and feel like I belong. Again, take that rejection as, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing right now. That's fine. I promise you guys, I'm not scared to put myself out there anymore. Or in my case, like in my personal life, like try to get brand deals with big brands or try to start an endeavor that's scary. And if it doesn't work out, I just have to understand it's not meant for me right now. And it doesn't mean it won't ever be meant for me. It just means it's not meant for me right now. If your crush rejects you, don't think about it as, oh my God, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I don't have big boobs. My butt is too small. That's why he doesn't like me. Think about it like we're just not meant to be together right now. And I'm going to go find someone who does want me. Why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't want you? It's not about even you trying to prove to him that he should want you. It's not about that. Once you choose yourself and you walk away and you go find things that actually align with you and actually value you and will accept you, that's when that guy who rejected you is going to want you anyways. So it's a win-win situation here. That's why you shouldn't be scared. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So what? If it's meant to, it will. If it's meant to work out, it will work out. I hope I'm like the subliminal messaging you need today. If you are looking at this big picture and you're like, I'm scared shitless right now, Trinity. I don't want to ever, ever, ever in my life confess to my crush that I like him. You know what? That's a pretty big step. And that's why practice makes perfect. You can practice getting rejected, okay? It's really easy. Practice micro rejections. And this sounds silly, but starting small and working up big is the only way you can get better at something. Practice is the only way you can get better at something. So if you suck at rejection, start putting yourself out there. Get out of your comfort zone and go get rejected. Have you ever heard of exposure therapy? And it's not as bad as it seems. I'm telling you, little things. Compliment a stranger. They might not respond, but it's not personal. All you did was say a compliment. Their response has nothing to do with you. Maybe they didn't hear you. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to respond. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You played your part. That's all you had to do. Ask a question to somebody. Say hi first to somebody. When you walk up at your coffee shop, your local coffee shop, maybe you know that they don't have sugar-free vanilla. Just ask anyways. Do you guys have sugar-free vanilla? They're going to say, no, sorry, we don't have that. You're going to be like, okay. Guess what? It's not the fact they hate you. That's not why they didn't give you the sugar-free vanilla. It's just because they don't have it. But hearing that, no, that's what's going to build up your rejection tolerance. It's like armor, okay? The more no's you get, the more armor you put on it. And one day it's not going to hurt anymore. You're just going to understand. They just don't have that for you right now. That's just not meant for you right now. Practice, 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 practice. That's how you're going to get over it. I say this a lot to men when it comes to, because men are really scared. They're really scared. They're like, I want to ask this girl out, but I'm scared. Dude, I get it. But you think you're going to get anywhere by being scared of rejection your whole life? Not really. There's actually a problem in our generation. I'm going to say Gen Z. There's a problem. And I think it has to do with COVID, but during COVID was the prime years where we were supposed to get rejected, where boys were supposed to get rejected, where we were supposed to put ourselves out there and fail. And we didn't have that. We sat behind a computer. We didn't have to turn our camera on if we didn't want to show our face that day. We didn't have to answer the question if we didn't want to answer the question. We were never wrong. We never got told no. We never got told the hard things. So that rejection armor that we were supposed to build up in those prime years didn't happen. So now we're old and we're scared to put ourselves out there and we're scared to possibly get rejected because we never learned how to. And that's why practicing is very important still. Like I tell men, like, okay, men, like you're so scared to ask that girl to be your girlfriend. Don't start there. Go ask the barista where she got her shirt from. Go ask some guy in the street where he got his shoes from. Go ask if you can work in with someone at the gym. Start small where you could possibly get rejected and feel it out and realize I can get over this pain. I can get over anything. Okay? I mean, it's just starting from the bottom and working your way up. Lastly, I want you to remember, again, rejection is divine protection. There is forces that we cannot see. Always remember that. Even when something feels so right and you're like, I'm going to talk to this guy and he's going to like me. And then he turns out he doesn't. And you're like, how could I be so wrong? Baby, you could have all the tools and the universe could still kick over your toolbox and say, nope, sorry. That is not on the right path right now. You have to trust that it happened because that's how it was supposed to happen. If that's not how it was supposed to happen, it wouldn't have happened that way. I promise. The universe is not trying to stir you wrong. And if he wasn't the one and he rejected you, you still learned a lesson. That door didn't open because maybe that door would have trapped you. There are things that we don't know. Sometimes I think back to, the men that I didn't work out with. And I see where we are both in our lives now. And I think, holy shit, if I would have stayed with them or if I would have actually ended up with them, it wouldn't have worked out. We're in two totally different places in our lives. We're two totally different people. Maybe it's for the better that we didn't work out. And at the time, I was probably heartbroken. I was like, damn, like, I really want this guy. Like, he doesn't want me. Like, I don't know. It was for the better. It was always for the better. I never look back at any person or place and thought, damn, if only I got that opportunity, even though I tried so hard and still got rejected. Like, no, like, everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. You have a divine destiny. Your path is paved for you. Trust that the universe is keeping you on that. Rejection is divine protection. I promise, I promise, I promise. That job rejection, maybe your boss would have been the biggest bitch in the world and you would have been stuck in that terrible company for years and you never would have figured out that you actually have a passion for journaling and you want to be a journalist. And then you travel to Europe and you go to the Eiffel Tower and you look over the entire city and you see, damn, I actually am going to write about this. And then your article is the best article the newspaper has ever gone. And then a man reads your article and he looks you up on Facebook because you're such a brilliant writer and he finds you and then he falls in love with you and you guys get married and you can live and get married under the Eiffel Tower. You see, like, there's things that don't happen because there's other things planned for us. Just because that one thing didn't happen doesn't mean anything else isn't going to happen. You still have a life to live, babe. Get up. That is my rant and talk about rejection. There is so much that goes into it. It hurts. It freaking hurts to get rejected, but you just have to remember at the end of the day, that's just not meant for me. I got rejected for a reason. That's it. Bottom line, there's nothing else to say. It's practice makes perfect. I swear, start doing things that make you uncomfortable, like complimenting people. Complimenting people is so hard because you're scared they're not going to take it the right way, but that also helps you understand that it's not about how they take it. You can't control that. All you can control is what you say. And if it's coming out of a place of genuine goodness, that's all you can do. Now I'm going into my next point, which is social anxiety. I still struggle with this. And I think social anxiety is very tightly interlinked with overthinking. I was the least socially anxious when I was a child, and my frontal lobe wasn't developed, and I was very ignorant. And that is why the term ignorance is bliss is very true, because you don't overthink things, you just do things. I wish so badly that I could go back into my child brain because I didn't overthink shit. I didn't think about anything. I just did things, and it was so easy. Like, I remember things I would just do because I just didn't think that there would be a consequence, or I just, and again, it's a toss up because it could go good or bad, but there were a lot of things like putting myself out there and making friends because I didn't care if they didn't like me. Like, I was just like, whatever, like, do you guys want to play? Like, remember when we were kids and we would just ask, like, do you want to play? We'd go to our friend's house, knock on the door and say, do you want to play? Because the social anxiety wasn't there unless you had social anxiety your entire life. Then I'm sorry, but we just wanted to play. If they couldn't play, like, whatever, like, we still asked. Like, we were on the playground in kindergarten. We're like, do you guys want to be friends? And that's how you met your friends. You just asked. If we were all still that simple, I think life would be a lot better. But fortunately, our frontal lobe does develop and we do tend to overthink. And social anxiety is hyper awareness mixed with imagination. It's our brain telling stories about what people might think. Again, think of you as a child. You probably didn't think like, oh my God, I'm going to ask them if they're going to be friends and they're probably going to say no and they're not going to want to be friends with me. And then I won't have any friends ever and I'll be on this playground alone. No, you just thought, I want to be friends with these people. And I actually relate this a lot to drinking. And I know this sounds silly, but when you're drinking, your frontal lobe turns off in that section of your brain that says, don't say this because this could happen, isn't working anymore. That's why people say stupid shit when they're drunk or text their ex when they're drunk, because that part of your brain that is like, don't do that, it doesn't exist. And sometimes I take my drunk self as inspiration because I'm like, nothing really that bad ever happened when I put myself out there because my frontal lobe wasn't working correctly. And I've actually made a lot of really good friends that way, and that's really sad to say. But what I'm saying is that there's no use to overthinking a situation that has not happened yet. I'm serious right now. That situation has not happened yet. How are you going to overthink a situation that has not happened yet? Guess what? You can make anything out of that situation because you hold the key and the power because the situation has not happened yet. I read a book once, and I haven't finished it because, frankly, it's a very hard book to read. It's called The Power of Now, and it talks about how the past is only real because we remember it, and the future isn't real because it hasn't happened yet. The only thing that is real is right now. in this very moment. And that's why being present is so important, because that's the only thing that is real. That is the only way to ground yourself, is to be in the only moment that actually truly exists, which is right now. And I'm saying this because it really helps when it comes to the terms of social anxiety. When I walk into that cafe and I want to order a sugar-free iced latte with almond milk, sometimes I think, I'm so scared they don't have sugar-free vanilla and the barista's going to laugh in my face. Sure, I can think that. It's probably not going to happen, but I can think that. Or I can focus on the feeling of the door handle when I open the door, the smell of the freshly roasted beans when I walk into that cafe, the typing of the computer, of the man sitting down at the table next to me, the laugh of the two older women in the corner, sharing a conversation over a cup of joe, catching up on their crazy lives. And I can focus on that. And I can feel that. And I can walk up to the counter and say, can I get a nice vanilla latte with sugar-free vanilla? Oh, you guys don't have that? That's okay. I'll take stevia then. Nothing bad happened, because nothing has happened yet. And it's much easier said than done, but that can go for so many things in your life. It hasn't happened yet, so why overthink it? Why write yourself as the main character in a horror movie? You wouldn't do that. Your future, you hold the pen, bitch. Just write a good movie and put yourself as a good main character. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are. That barista isn't going to look at you and be like, why does this bitch want sugar-free vanilla? They're just not. They're just going to think, do we have that or no? That's what they're going to think. This is called the spotlight effect, and it's a term where we think people think about us way more than they actually do. People aren't paying that close of attention to you. I promise. And I say that with love. And actually, it's better that way. When you're walking through the mall and you think, oh my God, everybody's staring at me, I don't even want to go outside. Nobody is. Maybe one or two people are staring at you, but it's probably because they like your outfit. That's another point I want to bring up. If you're going to assume people are thinking about you, you might as well just assume good things. Again, ignorance is bliss. And that's really silly, right? I actually go to the gym a lot, believe it or not. I don't know if you can see these big muscles through my cheetah print tracksuit, but when I'm there, I don't know what it is, but a lot of people are staring at my ass. And I have to think, do I have a stain on my ass? Like, did I bleed through my pants? That's my first initial thought. But then I'm like, no. I shift that thought to, my ass must just be so fat they can't take their eyes off of it. And that's a silly analogy, but that's the truth. And honestly, it makes me feel better when I'm walking through Trader Joe's and I think, oh God, all these people are staring at me. I'm just like, they must think I look so good. They must think, where'd this bitch come from? And why does she look so good in the Trader Joe's? If you're going to assume people are thinking about you, just assume good things. You are not your thoughts. So you can genuinely think whatever you want. Put them in there, okay? If you're going to write your own story, you might as well write it good. But it's hard because the brain fills gaps with fear when it doesn't have information. And that's why overthinking situations feels like protection. Who's type A in this room? Raise your hand. Me, I'm type A. I'm a type A bitch. When I do not have a full itinerary of the day, I assume the worst because that is protection. I'm protecting myself if something were to go wrong. I over-prepare so I cannot fail because I don't have all the information, and that is protection. But guess what? Your mind is just trying to keep you safe, but it forgets you're not in danger. So it is normal to feel scared when you're going to ask for sugar-free vanilla because you don't know what the answer is going to be. And immediately we think of the worst possible situation because we're trying to protect ourselves from the worst. But there's nothing dangerous about asking if they have sugar-free vanilla. No one's going to jump out from behind the counter and strangle you. They're not going to pour a steaming hot cup of joe on your head. The worst thing they can say is, no, we don't have that, okay? Thank you for letting me know. It's so much easier said than done, but having the knowledge is the first step to making the change. So I'm going to tell you that. And I hope that you can take it and maybe listen to this part 5 or 10 times over and really understand it. If you're going to overthink and write your story before it happens, you might as well write a good story. If you're going to put yourself at the center and think everybody's looking at you, you might as well think they're looking at you for a good reason. And if you're going to fill in the gaps with information you don't know, you might as well fill them in with good info. It's so much easier said than done. I know, because I struggled with it. But now I am a master at asking for sugar-free vanilla because the worst I can say is that they don't have it, and it's not personal. It's never personal. Some other tips you can use to get over social anxiety now that you have this information is shifting the spotlight, as I said. But instead of walking into a room and thinking, "Oh my god, like how can I not feel like so anxious right now? Like how can I make myself feel small so that no one notices me so they can't judge me?" What if you walked into a room and thought, "How can I make everyone else in this room comfortable?" When you move the focus off of you, the anxiety dissolves. Genuinely. Genuinely. And I'm not saying be a crazy people pleaser, but I'm saying if you're so focused on yourself, turn that outward and watch that anxiety fade away. When you walk into a room and you're with a new group of people and you're scared to go hang out with them for the first time and you're thinking, holy shit, I'm going to go. They're going to think I'm so weird. They're not going to want to hang out with me. What if you went in there and thought, how can I make these people feel like they're being listened to? How can I make these people feel like they're wanted in this room? Like, how can I make these people feel like they're having a fun time? Shift it if it's bothering you. Another thing, stop assigning meaning. Just because somebody laughed doesn't mean they're laughing at you. One awkward moment or awkward conversation doesn't define anything. It doesn't mean you're an awkward person. It doesn't mean that person's awkward. It's just a conversation that was silly. One pause, one stumble, everybody does it. Awkwardness is just humanity showing its face. A lot of people DM me and say, Trinity, what do I do when I'm just awkward? What do I do when I'm just a nervous, awkward person? What I've figured out is that people like nervous, awkward people because it shows humanity. It shows humility. It shows the truth. There is nothing hiding behind someone who is awkward. That's them. They're unapologetically and unauthentically themselves or authentically themselves. It's beautiful to see that. And people feel comfortable with that because there's nothing like hiding behind that. That's just it. So if you feel like, oh God, that conversation was awkward, hey, you guys connected because there's nothing hiding behind that awkward conversation. What I've noticed in life is majority of people are awkward. Majority of conversations I have with random people, they're awkward. And I love them. And I want to give them a hug and say, I love the way you are. Never change. Because awkward is human. Okay? You don't have to have every conversation be perfect. It's not gonna be. We're human. So stop assigning meaning to things when you don't know what they actually mean. Again, assume the best. Another thing, breathe before you speak. If you are talking to somebody and you're scared again, it's gonna be awkward and you don't know what to say next, breathe. This is actually really good for conversations, which we'll get into next. But breathing before you speak doesn't just signify to the other person that what you're about to say is important, but it also tells your nervous system it's okay, we're safe. A lot of the times, your nervous system knows how it feels before you do, before your subconscious mind even knows. So breathing calms yourself down, literally. If someone's asking you questions and you're so scared and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so awkward, just chill, breathe, and answer. Let's have a little example. Say you're talking to your crush and you're so freaking scared right now. And he's like, so like, what did you think about the basketball game last night? You could be like, oh my God, the basketball game, I loved it so much. And also I think you're so cute. And I love the way your eyes twinkle. Why did I say that? You know, you didn't give your nervous system a second to chill. Let's try again. What'd you think about the game last night? I really liked how number 2 passed the ball to number 8 and they were able to like make so many dynamic plays and we won the game. I thought that was really cool to watch. You had time to think. You showed him that what you're about to say is important and you didn't freak out and have an awkward moment. So benefit. If you don't know what to say, breathe. It'll come to you. Slow down your mind. I think a lot of people also don't give themselves enough time to actually analyze what the other person is saying. We'll get into that next. Another thing, don't write the script in your head before it happens. Conversations aren't scripts. I mean, sometimes surface level conversations are scripts, but you're not going to know what the other person's going to say. You're not going to be able to predict what they're going to say. Don't go into a conversation trying to predict what the other person's going to say. Just listen, because that's when real connections happen. It's in unscripted spaces. The laughter, the pauses, the shared glances, that's when real connection happens. That's how you do not be awkward. That's how you do not have social anxiety when you go into a situation wanting to make a genuine human connection instead of wanting to get out of it not being awkward. That's not going to help. Don't go into a situation and overthink everything the other person is going to say by thinking about it before they even say it. What I notice is that a lot of people who ramble and who have nothing really good to say, they do this one thing, and it's not listening to what the other person's actually saying. It's thinking about what they're going to say next before that person is finished talking. It's really hard to have a conversation with a person like that because you don't feel like they're really listening to you. You just feel like they're responding to you. And you're like, okay, are you having a conversation with me or are you having a conversation with yourself? So if you feel like in a situation and you're like, I'm really scared right now, just listen to what they're saying. Can be with anybody, your teacher, your boss, your boyfriend, your friend, that hot football player. Don't go in it thinking, what is he going to say? Just listen. Just listen and respond. Listen and respond. Listen and respond. It's blueprint conversational skills, but sometimes we forget it. Example, here we go. Your crush is talking to you. He's like, so I just really thought I had a hard time with that homework last night. You could immediately start thinking at this point, okay, he's going to say he had a hard time with that homework. And then he's going to say that he wishes I could have helped him. And then he's going to say that this class sucks. No, just listen to what he has to say. You do not have to rewrite your answer. It'll come to you when it comes to you. That's why taking that second to breathe is important. He's going to say, okay, I had trouble with homework last night. And I was wondering if you have a study buddy. If you were to overthink that entire thing, you would have missed the point when he asked if you had a study buddy. Then you never would have been able to say, no, I don't. And I would think that we would make perfect study buddies. You would have just said, I hate this class too. And he's going to be like, what? That's not what I said. Stop making shit up and just listen. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. But I'm going to end this podcast off with how to be a good conversationalist. Because once we're over that awkwardness, once we're over that social anxiety, and we just want to have a genuine conversation, it's good to have tools in our toolbox that we can use to have a good conversation. Because again, if you can talk to somebody, you can pretty much do anything. I'm a very firm believer in that. 100%. Doesn't matter what you know, kind of matters who you know, but it definitely matters how you say it. So let's go. One tip to keep in mind: if you're scared that the conversation is going to end awkwardly or you're not going to have anything to say, is to ask open-ended questions. A lot of people DM me and say, I don't know how to talk to my crush. I don't know, he's just awkward on the phone. I don't know what to say. Ask a question that can have more than a one-word answer. Here's an example of something that is not an open-ended question. Did you have a good day? They could respond to that with, yeah, I had a good day. They don't have to go on. But if you were to ask, what was the highlight of your day? They would have to say a longer answer, which could lead in to a whole nother conversation. They could say, I think the highlight of my day was when that lady at the bus stop complimented me. And then you could say, oh, that's awesome. What did she compliment you on? She said that she really liked my new haircut. Oh my God, I didn't even notice you got a new haircut. When did you get that? Oh, I got it on Friday. Oh my God, it looks so good. Where do you go to get your haircut? You see, open-ended questions that can lead into more questions. It's very silly, and it takes some practice. But that's why breathing before you speak is important, so you can think, how can I ask an open-ended question right now? Another thing that is so important when you're having a conversation is letting the other person know that you are listening to them. People don't want to have a conversation with someone who isn't listening. That is not a conversation. That is talking to a door. How do you do this? It's in your eyes. It's in your facial expressions. It's in the way you nod. It's in the way you tilt your head. All of that. Making eye contact is so hard. But guess what? People only like eye contact. I think the stat is I don't know the exact stat, but it's not 100% of the time. It's pretty low. It's 35 or 40% of the time. You do not need to be staring someone deep in the eyes when you're having a conversation with them, unless you're trying to get intimate or something. I don't know. That kind of freaks people out. People don't really like eye contact 100% of the time, and no one likes making eye contact 100% of the time because it's hard. When I look into people's eyes, I can hear their thoughts, and that's the psychic in me, so I don't do that a lot. But that's fine because people, again, don't like eye contact 100% of the time. So when you're having a conversation with someone, you can look at them when you ask the question, and when they're answering, you don't have to be staring directly in their eyes. You can look to the right, look to the left, look at their shirt, look around. That's okay, especially when you're answering questions. You can look around. You don't have to stare straight at them. Even in an interview, you do not need to stare straight at them. But that's when your posture comes into play, and that's when your smile comes into play. When you're having a conversation with somebody, you want to look interested. Don't want to look like you don't want to be there. Even if you don't, you have to pretend, just for that second. A little smile is all you need. Just enough to show that you are interested in talking to them and listening to what they're saying. So just put a little smile on your face. Along with that, nods. These micro movements prove to the people that you are hearing what they are saying, even though you're not saying anything back. And this is hard because sometimes people nod too much and they look like a bobblehead. You don't want to look like a bobblehead. You don't want to be smiling and moving your head up and down 24/7. Then they're going to be like, is this person on drugs? Do they have an itch? What's going on? No, just be nonchalant, a little nod every time they say something important. is enough. Just showing them that you're engaged in the conversation and interested, that's going to make them comfortable. So if they're talking about their day and they're just like, yeah, like I have a cat. You could not, I have a cat. Oh my God, you have a cat? His name is Twig and I like him a lot, and he actually got lost yesterday. You could be like, oh no, he got lost yesterday. Like, just show that you're engaged in the conversation. People bloom under attention. If you want someone to be like, I had a good conversation with that person today, it's in the micro movements. Another tip that you can use if you feel like things are getting awkward is mirroring their energy gently. If you're talking to someone who's excited, don't come in there and dull their sparkle. Just be excited for that second with them. Share that excitement. If they're calm, and you're really excited, just like, oh, let me chill for a second. Just match the vibe. If you want them to be like, that person was a really good person to have a conversation with, they really like calm me down, like, you need to match their energy just for the second, just when you're talking to them. It's hard when you're trying to vibrate with someone who's vibrating way higher than you or way lower than you. Just match it for the conversation, and then you're going to be able to connect better during that conversation. Another tip, I think people get really nervous when they're talking and they dump their entire story. We don't want to do that. Just give that person breadcrumbs, showing them tiny windows into your world. I mean, let's say you're talking to your crush and you just want to have a conversation with your crush. Your crush is going to be a bit overwhelmed if you start telling them about how your parents got a divorce in 2012. You don't have to start with that. You could just say, oh, I hang out with my dad on the weekends. That's all you have to say. This actually does two things. It doesn't overwhelm them. It actually makes you more intriguing because they don't know everything about you. They just know those micro things about you. So if you ever feel like you don't know what to say and you want to spill your guts out, don't. A lot of the time, silence is filled with things that were not meant to be said. That's why I use silence as my superpower. If you were having a conversation with someone, especially if you're trying to get someone to confess something, stay silent. If that person is nervous, they will ramble themselves into a hole and you won't even have to interrogate them because they got themselves there in the first place. Hold your silence. And if there is silence in a conversation, that's not bad. Silence tells a lot. In the silence that there is, one, you're not trauma dumping, which is good. And two, you can feel out how the conversation really feels. Is there awkward tension that you have to break? Is that why there's silence? Maybe. Are you guys just enjoying each other's presence and you have nothing to say and maybe that's why there's silence? Yes. Use the silence as your superpower. But if you feel like you need to fill that silence with trauma, that's not the answer. You can always fill it with an open-ended question. That's it. And lastly, if you want to be a good conversationalist and you need to remember only one thing that I've said today, make the other person feel seen. Go into the conversation wanting to make a genuine connection with that person and getting to know them. That is how you're not going to be awkward. That is how you're not going to have social anxiety. And that is how you're going to be a good conversationalist. Shifting the focus off of yourself, off of what can I give to this person? What can I show this person how cool I am? How can I show this person that I'm awesome? How do I make this person feel seen? How do I show this person that they're important? How do I show this person that they're listening? A compliment, a thoughtful observation. Humans don't really remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. So make them feel special. Every single person I have a conversation with, I try to make them feel like I am listening because I want them to feel important. Every time I meet one of you guys out in public, I want to leave that conversation hoping that I made you feel like you were important because you made me feel like I was important. It's a two-way street. That is how you're going to do it, people. Take the focus off yourself and put it on the other person. When you're having a conversation with your crush, make your crush feel like, dang, that girl really made me feel like I was awesome. He's going to want to talk to you more. When you're having a conversation with your boss, make your boss feel like, dang, that girl really made me feel like I was in a really good position and she can learn from me. Okay? If you're having a conversation with your boyfriend or mom or boyfriend's mom or dad, make them feel like, dang, like this girl really respects me. I feel really respected right now. There's a bunch of different ways you can make people feel. And it's different for every situation, but take the focus off yourself and put it on them for once. That's going to take the stakes down immensely. Well, you guys, I just ranted and yapped for about 40, 50 minutes, but I hope that you got something out of that. All of that was my 21 years of knowledge in a 50-minute podcast episode. And if I had this, knowledge before I was the age of 18 when I heard the first quote I've ever heard, which was rejection is redirection, I think I could have made it a lot farther. I struggled with social anxiety my entire life. I still, sometimes struggle with it. But having these thoughts and reminding myself of this every day has made my life so much easier. And I am not scared to go into group situations. I'm not scared to go to parties. I'm not scared to ask for sugar-free vanilla. Start small and work your way up. And one day you're going to realize it was never as scary as you thought it was. It's just life. At the end of the day, I look at people like we are all just souls. And that soul chose that body. And that body's living out a human experience. And there's nothing really more to it. We're all just living, trying to understand this crazy world, and we're in it together. And all we really have is each other. So make that person feel seen today, and you'll realize it's not that scary. I love you guys so much. I really hope you got something out of this podcast. If you want to hear more of me, my TikTok is Trinity.Blair, my Instagram is TriniXO, and my YouTube is The Trinity Theory. I post on Spotify every Monday and Friday. And if you want to watch the video, you can on Spotify or YouTube. I love you guys so much. If you have anything you want to say to the podcast or for the podcast, the link for the form for the podcast will be in the description of this Spotify episode or this YouTube video. I love you guys so much. Stay sexy, amazing, and come back on Friday for a Freaky Friday episode. I love you guys. Bye.